What's up, everyone, and welcome to the newest edition of Tokusatsu World Tour, now a part of the Angel Grove Radio Patreon page, which means this first episode you get free. Just like last week, the Mystic Force rewatch you got for free. But to get the rest of these episodes, you have to go to patreon.com/Angel Grove Radio, and these are in the Tier 2 section. My name is Achilles, one of your hosts, and my co-host here.
And I am Jimmy, and I'm a geek. I'm also a fan of Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, so I'm very excited for today's episode.
Yeah, that ultimately led us to what today's episode was, what we were reviewing. If you don't know what Tokusatsu World Tour is, if this is your first time here, every month, once a month, over on the Angel Grove Radio Patreon, we review the first one or two episodes of a show/movie that's usually available free and legally that we have never seen before, or at least one of us hasn't seen before. Today, I have not seen Hyper Agent Gridman, but Jimmy has.
I've seen. I saw it a few years ago. In this show, you can watch it for free on sites like Tubi, Pluto TV, as well as there was a Blu-ray release. So this show is pretty accessible, and I love it. So I'm excited.
Where'd you watch yours at?
I watched mine, even though I have it on Blu-ray. I watched mine on Pluto TV. No, it was on Tubi. I watched mine on Tubi just because it was way easy. Like I logged in, it was right there. I had some small issues with the with my stream, but it was overall okay.
Mine was on Tubi too. I was going to bring this up later, but we can bring it here right off the rip. Were some of your subtitles cut off?
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't just me. Thank goodness.
They were a little bit like longer, and it just got, like the first letter and the last letter got cut off. And luckily, I was able to use just deductive reasoning. Like that kind of looks like a W, that kind of looks like an L. Oh, it's who and evil. So like I was able to piece it together, but I did have to like pause the video a couple times just to kind of like make sure that I was understanding what they were doing. And since we're talking about like playback issues, I don't know if yours did this or not, but there was a couple times where the aspect ratio shifted. Like
no, mine never did that.
Mine did it twice, and maybe it might be my junk of a computer, but it did it twice for me. Hey, it did it twice, and I don't know if it was me or if it was specifically on the second episode. There was a moment where like the monster of the day just kind of like shifted from from the main computer to like whatever was attacking. We'll go over it later, and they kind of like at one point the aspect ratio shifted, and I knew that it wasn't my computer because the subtitle stayed the same. So it just kind of like did a quick flicker.
Interesting.
It did it twice for me. And maybe like, you were just so into it that you didn't really catch it. Or maybe it was just me. But I noticed it. I'm like, well, it is what it is. It's free. So I can't really complain about it.
It's free up there. It's a show from, what is it, 1980s or something like that?
It's from, specifically, its run was from April 3, 1993. And it ended January 8th, 1994. So it's from the early 90s. Yeah, so it's understandable. And I'm sure when they were upscaling it for like Blu-ray and online releases, they didn't have someone to watch every single like millisecond of the show to make sure that it looked okay. It happens. I'm not mad at it, but I did notice it.
Yeah. Since Jimmy's already going over the facts, let me read off what the wikis got real quick. It says, Gridman the Hyper Agent is a Japanese tokusatsu series produced by Tsuburaya Productions, which a lot of you will know who is the producer of all the Ultraman series. This show ran from 93 to 94. It was the inspiration and source material for DIC Entertainment's Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. The series can be watched on Shout, Tubi, and Roku currently. And then the two, which I think are really good facts compared to what we had for Mystic Force last week. The two facts we got is Gridman the Hyper Agent is the first series to be shot in interlaced 480i. If you went to college for broadcasting, which I assume a lot of you didn't, like myself, that was a big deal. Interlaced TV is a big deal. You can look it up later. But the other thing is the series would be Tsuburaya Productions' last non-ultra superhero production before Bioplanet Wu, which came out in 2006.
Oh, that's cool.
So from 94 to 2006, Tsuburaya did not produce anything but Ultraman.
That's crazy. I mean, it makes sense because like that's mostly what people know them for.
Yeah,
I also have a fact. I don't know if I want to say this fact now or if I want to share it a little later.
go for it.
But yesterday, and just full disclosure, we're shooting this a week in advance. Um, Hawk and I were hanging out with a buddy of ours, and at this event, we were just kind of talking about just some brief stuff about the episode. And I made a joke. I'm like, oh, like this person probably hasn't acted since. Well, actually, I looked them up. I looked up the three main actors, the three
Mhm.
kids. So Naoto Sho, he plays. Sorry, not Masaya Obi, who plays Naoto. He's the main kid. He went on to have small cameo roles in SSSS Gridman,
Oh, I do
SSSS
know that. Yeah,
Xenon, and he was in Gridman Universe, the movie. Like he had
yep.
very small cameo roles, playing different characters each time, I think. But I thought that was really cool. The other two kids didn't really do anything afterwards, but he had cameos in the Gridman animes, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Is that all he did?
He did like one other show, like in '96, but it wasn't like Toku. I think it was like a drama or something.
Okay.
But that was it. The other two kids, I found one of them. I found someone with a similar name, and I don't know if it's them. I don't think it's them because they don't have Gridman credited. But they're like an animator, an anime or something. But they share the same name. It's Takashi Sudo, which I'm not
Okay.
super familiar with Japanese names, but it might be a common name there. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be a John Smith.
Yeah.
Uh, since we brought him up right off rip, I'm not going to harp on this too much, but goddamn, are those three kids the worst actors I have ever watched in a tokusatsu show?
I mean, all four kids, because there was a little kid, there was a little brother. All of
Daichi,
them,
yeah.
Daichi, like all of them just yell all their lines.
I brought this up to you yesterday,
Yes,
and it's
and
the first note I have is Naoto is always yelling. Every single line is him screaming into the camera.
yeah, all four of the kids, they just scream all of their lines. Well, most of the lines. The girl who plays Yuka, June, she plays a couple of lines that are a little bit softer, and she tries to show more emotion. But the boys, they all yell all of their lines, and it is a little jarring. Eventually, you get used to it. You're like, oh, this is just how Japanese children spoke in the '90s.
Mhm.
Cool. For all, I mean, I wasn't in Japan in the '90s, so I don't know that for sure.
Japan was just really loud.
Yeah.
Decibel levels over the top around in the 90s.
Yes, it's. I have a feeling they were just told by the director to be more energetic, and the way they took that cue was, oh, let's just be louder.
Yeah. When you're
Which
typing in the commands to the computer, make sure you say them really loud in case we want to sell something later.
yes, exactly. Which they did. They sold a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
That's toys.
they did. This is another one I had. I think this is the first tokusatsu I watched where the main characters, I looked at them and goes, "Oh, those are actual children. Those aren't older people playing children. These are like actual kids."
Yeah, they were playing kids their age for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I noticed that too, and hey, I'm not mad at it. I think it's immersive. Definitely gave me Beetleborgs vibes. Just like kids playing
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah, I feel that. Because you watch Power Rangers and you're like, all right, one of these fools is 26 years old playing a high school or playing a 16-year-old. But then you watch Beetleborgs and you're like, oh, they look like me back when we were, younger watching Beetleborgs.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this was a way to kind of break away because I mean I don't know too much about like how Toku was like in the early '90s in Japan specifically.
Mm.
If there was anything like in America where they're like, oh well, kids want to see kids be heroes too. So I don't know if that played into it because I know that like with other Toku shows like Sentai at the time, those they were all adults. Same thing with was Rider on at the time? I don't think it was. But
The rider that was like the trio movies, which are far more adult movies than the rest of
yeah,
Rider.
yeah. So I don't think there was a lot of Toku like starring kids at the time, if any at all. So this might have been the one.
Yeah, even Metal Heroes back then was all very militaristic,
Mhm.
police, sheriffs, big boys with big jobs.
Yeah, and these are just children who are all geniuses for some reason.
Yeah. I think actually Die Ranger had Kiba Ranger, and if I'm remembering right, Die Ranger came out in '93.
Yeah,
So that was like the one kid in a henshin hero show turning into a hero at the time.
If I remember correctly, I've heard from like just other stories of people just not liking Kiba Ranger
I do
because he
think
was a
Kiba
kid.
Ranger is insanely hated. Yeah.
Yes, because he was a kid. I call it the Justin Stewart effect. It's
Yep.
like if you add a child to a team of adults, everyone hates him immediately.
You're like, but I want to be that kid, so
Yeah,
I'm envious of this kid.
yeah. Well, that's why kids hated him because like that could have been me.
Yeah. I've teased this on stream though, but while we're on the topic of Justin Stewart and this kid, you want to tell your story, Jimmy?
Yeah, might as well. It's off topic, but I'll talk about it. So the way that I always start the story is like I almost became the Blue Power Ranger in Turbo. Um, I realistically, it was very unlikely, just especially after you hear behind the scenes stories. But when I was a kid, I went to the mall. So I live just for I'm not doxing myself, but I grew up in Long Beach, and a lot of Power Rangers was shot in and around LA. A lot of it being in Long Beach, which is one of the reasons why I like Power Rangers as much as I do, because like I recognize some of the locations. And I used to go to the mall a lot with my family, and I have two stories, but I'm going to tell this one specifically. One time I was at the mall with my mom, and we went. It was my mom, my older sister, and I think my younger sister was a baby, and we went to a store that my aunt worked at. I was gonna say I don't want to dox her by saying the store, but she doesn't work there anymore. It was a Montgomery Ward. That's not around anymore. So we went because our thing, we'd like meet her up after work, and then we'd go have like lunch or dinner or whatever at the food court. And we were walking to the food court, and this woman with like a power suit, and she had the shoulder pads.
Wait,
So
what is a
like
power suit?
it was a woman suit. It was like a
Oh,
suit
okay,
meant
gotcha.
to like empower women. So like
Gotcha.
because
Sorry,
you
the
know,
topic that we're talking about, and then you said a woman was
true,
walking around in a power suit. I was like, what does that
true.
mean?
True. No. So it was like it was a term in the 90s because like women were like starting to go into the workforce, and it was like their version of a suit. And like she had these massive shoulder pads like it built in, so she looked like a linebacker in the NFL. And she kind of just like beelined it to my mom and my aunt and myself, and she goes, "Hey, is this your son?" And mom's like, yeah. She goes, oh, well, I actually work for Power Rangers. We're looking to cast a kid to be the next Power Ranger. And my mom was like, really? She goes, yeah, and we think your son would be perfect to audition. So she handed my mom a business card. She says, this is my card. Give me a call. I'll give you the information so you can come in and audition. Bring a photo of him. It could be a school picture, but if you don't have one, go down the hallway. There's a photography studio. Just show them my card, and they'll be able to fax it to me, so I'll have it before you come in. Yeah, so she's like explaining them this process, and my mom, she's like kind of nodding along, and my aunt, like they both are like, okay. I just heard I could be a Power Ranger, and I was in. I was like, yeah, 1,000%. Let's go, just do this. So mom was like, well, I have to talk to my husband about it, so I can't say yes or no right now, but I'll give you a call if we decide to, depending on what my husband says. And my aunt was, yeah. So lady's like, okay, that sounds fair. Just give me a call. Just anytime. If I don't answer, just leave me a message. Because I'm out here, not at the office. Okay, cool. Fast forward to like the lady walking away, and my mom, she goes, does that sound right to you? And my aunt goes, why would they want a little kid to be a Power Ranger? And my mom, both my mom and myself were like, huh, you're right, why would they want a little kid to be a Power Ranger? A year later, Turbo comes out,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, that could have been me. That was me. That was meant for me. This kid with a bowl cut is now a Power Ranger, and I'm sitting at home watching the kid with the bowl cut live my dream.
You're like,
So
this was my shot.
yeah, I was very mad as a kid. Now as an adult, looking at it, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I would have gotten it. I didn't really know martial arts. Yeah, I had a mouth on me because,
Did
like,
Blake Foster know martial arts?
yeah, he did.
Oh, okay,
From my understanding, Blake Foster was already like in other Saban projects. So
gotcha.
like
Oh yeah,
Shuki
he's in
Levy,
Casper meets Wendy.
Yeah, so like Shuki Levy had already eyed this kid, so it was very likely that the auditions were just as a way to kind of like, oh, we gave other kids a chance, but Blake was perfect for it, so we just gave it to Blake. More like a formality, which happens in Hollywood. So
Or
just,
maybe you could have been in Casper Meets Wendy too. Maybe
I could,
this
I could
maybe
have been,
this is what led to Blake getting all that stuff.
I could have met Hillary Duff.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, I could have been a Beetleborg. Someone else brought up was like, what if it was for Beetleborgs? So I was like, I don't know. Um, I think Beetleborgs might have already been on at the time, but no, I was just so upset at my mom and my aunt, specifically my aunt, because my mom was like, I think my mom was looking for like some sort of confirmation of whether or not like this might have been legit, and
Yeah.
my aunt immediately shut it down. She goes, "No, there's no way," and to to my aunt's defense, like yeah, like no one would have thought that it would have actually been legit. So we just kind of carried on with our day, and like a year later, it happened, and I was so upset. To this day, I'm a little mad. I'm like, I could have been the one scamming people for
Yep.
metamorphers.
Jimmy could have been Justin. You heard it here first. And he would have scammed you.
I would have scammed you. I think. I think that's part of like the like he got bullied so much for having a bowl cut that like he just became a scam artist.
The small bowl cut child to scam artist pipeline.
Yeah, it's more common than you think.
Yeah. All right. Back to Gridman.
Back to
Um,
Gridman.
there's two things I want to say about the start of the episode
Okay,
for episode one. Number one is goddamn Baby Don Don is a banger, dude.
dude.
Like,
So Tubi gave me the option to skip the intro, and I was like,
whack.
no, no, I'm not skipping this intro. Gridman, baby,
Baby
dun,
Don
dun,
Don. I was like, this is the not the one thing I know about the show because I obviously watched Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad when I was little, but this was one of the bigger things I know about the show, and I turned it on and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I get to sit through this banger twice today.
Yeah, no, it's good. And just like even visually, it's like the intro scene with like the circuit boards, like it's a
Yep.
great intro. I think it's one of the stronger things of the show, I think. Which
Yep.
is good, which is good. Like it's at a high bar.
And now one of the weakest parts of the show. Jimothy, my friend, did you know that this show takes a minute and 56 seconds to start?
Yes.
I
I
was sitting there, I was like, when does this happen?
Yeah, like it all feels really short because even the outro sequence is very long.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, because I was watching both episodes, and it kicks off. It has some exposition of what's gonna happen. It follows Most episodes follow similar formulas. Things happen, he fights, and then the episode's almost immediately over.
Yeah.
And they're both super short. So on the level of hey, we're trying to rush through these two episodes to make sure that we're able to talk about them properly on a podcast. From that perspective, it's like cool. I was able to watch two episodes in like less time because I skipped the outro.
Mhm.
But if I was trying to sit down and watch it and enjoy it, like from start to end, I would have been very upset because like I'm like cool. It says 28 minutes, and like at least 8 of those minutes are intro and outro.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so incredibly long, and it's the same thing every single time.
Yeah, and very formulaic, like a lot of Toku was at the time, So I get it because even then, like you could watch Power Rangers from like the same time, literally the same runtime, and that also followed a similar formula where it was exposition, fight scenes, it's over, right?
Yeah. Here's my
Um,
big gripe about at least these two episodes. I don't know how far it goes. You've seen more than me. But
yeah,
these two episodes don't have any. I don't know. Maybe it's the Power Rangers in me or the Tokusatsu that I've seen, all my life. These two episodes don't have any like moral to the story. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched the entire thing. It's been a pretty long time. And I was this morning, like, and I had this the other day when I was watching episode one, and I was like, I don't remember any of this. Uh, and I had that when I was watching episode two, I was like, I don't remember any of this. Like all the stuff that I remember was visual, and I couldn't really tell if it was from when I watched it as Gridman the first time or if it was just because they used those sequences in Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember because I it was just not memorable. Like I remembered like little things here and there, but just in the grand scheme of things, I can't tell you how the show ends. I don't remember.
I don't remember what the big moral of the story is.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess part of it is like coming together as as a team to save the world, but like
Yeah.
uh, that's every Toku show, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, there was no like I want to say B plot, but in actuality, there's no like A plot to these episodes that you like. In Power Rangers, people are gonna get mad I'm bringing in Power Rangers for the comparison here, but it's a 90s tokusatsu. In Power Rangers, when they meet a little kid and he's lost his bike and they have to help him find his bike, and that leads to the monster battle. That
Yeah,
doesn't happen here. Like what leads
no,
to the monster battle is they feel very, I guess, more reactionary than most Dogu shows,
yeah.
where the villain is like, "Hey, let's make a fucking monster, baby," and then he throws it somewhere, and then all of a sudden the monster's in the college. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. And I think it could be a symptom of it being the first two episodes and the kids are barely learning how this all works. Because
Mhm.
part of the second episode, so in the first episode, they meet Gridman, they have the first battle, and that happens. In the second episode, they do spend a little bit of time talking to him before anything else happens. It's like, hey, where did you come from? Like, why'd you choose us? Like all these different things.
Yeah,
And it was
Gridman gives
it
us all the exposition that the narrator has already given us or given us in the episode before.
yes, but this time he's giving it to the kids
Yeah.
because the kids didn't hear the narrator.
Yeah.
So and part of that is okay. I guess that makes sense. One thing I do like though from at least the first two episodes, and I guess we're kind of all over the place. Is there's the good kids, which is Naoto, Yuka, and Ippei,
Mhm.
and then there's the bad kid, which is Takashi. So these three kids, specifically Naoto, is chosen because of his heart is so good that he wants to like save his brother. So he's chosen by Gridman specifically to be the person to help him fight off these monsters. Takashi is chosen because he's so evil and hateful that Demon King Khan Dignifier is able to latch onto that and manipulate him and make him his slave. That's the verbatim term to use.
Yeah.
You're my
Uses eye
slave.
beams on him.
And to use him to like create these monsters to terrorize this small town in Japan. So like one side is so hateful and one side is so good that like these different digital entities latch onto these children, and now they're like fighting each other.
Yeah. I've never thought about it, or I didn't think about it that way when I was watching, but you're right. It is kind of parallel and opposite in that way.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Whereas Khan literally uses his eye beam to make Takashi a slave. Also, they call this Khan Dignifier so many times, like by his
yeah.
full name. I was like, just shorten it. Just call him Khan, please.
Yeah, they a couple times they call him by his full legal name, Demon King,
Yeah.
Khan Dignifier.
Demon King Khan Dignifier over and over again. I was like, just
Yeah,
shorten it. You don't have to,
it
especially the end of the last episode or the end of the second episode. They say it like 8 times within the span of 2 minutes.
it'd be the same thing as call Gridman the Hyper Agent.
Yeah.
Call Gridman the Hyper Agent. No, just call him Gridman. Um, yeah, but
Uh,
let's talk about the first episode
okay.
specific. So, do you want to start it off or should I?
You can start off. Go for it. I
So,
have some notes that I wrote down, but I want to hear what your thoughts are.
so essentially, in the first episode, the kids they built a computer. They call it lovingly. They call it junk because they used just a bunch of like secondhand computer parts that they found in the trash, or who knows how they acquired them. And Ippei, he creates a 3D model of this hero. He calls him Lightning Superhuman Gridman.
Hmm.
And he already jokes that this character he creates is going to save the world, and the kids all laugh it off. And then the little brother is sick. He goes to the hospital, and the kids go to school because they're late because they want to go see him. And in that moment, Yuka crashes into Takashi, and she helps him pick up the bags, and he reaches into his pocket and like he has an envelope. and he's too much. Can we cuss in this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, he's too much of a little bitch to give her this envelope, which apparently is a love letter. And she's like waiting because like she knows that he wants to say something, but he's not saying it. And but they're already late, so Naoto calls her over. He goes, "Hey, you're late. Teacher's not here. Hurry up." And she goes, "Oh, okay, bye." And she leaves. And fucking Takashi takes that as a slight against him. He's like, "She rejected me." No, you didn't even tell her anything. You didn't even give her the chance to reject you.
And he's just like, the world must burn.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna destroy the world because you rejected me." He's like, "No, dude. She seems nice enough. She probably would have accepted your letter. She would have thanked you for it, and she would have read it privately, and then maybe she would have rejected you because you're a bitch. But, but you didn't even give her the chance, and it's her fault apparently."
Yep.
Uh, and I'm like, "Dude, what the hell?"
That part
And
is
then
so funny to me because the rest of the story, as far as we've seen, has nothing to do with her in relation
no,
to him. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't do this stuff as a slight to her. He goes, the world must burn. And then he starts being the slave of Con Dignifier.
yeah, and like, who knows, right? Because we met this kid, like he was already in the hallway. Who knows what life things led to this moment? Like maybe his mom didn't buy him his favorite cereal,
Yeah.
and maybe like he missed the bus because the bus driver didn't stop on the way there. And maybe like his favorite candy bar was sold out at the local konbini. Like who knows, right? Who knows what led to this moment? But the fact that he like decided, you know what? I'm gonna burn the world down because you rejected me, even though she did not. Because we've only known her, you know, collectively for 2 episodes.
Yep.
She seems like a nice enough girl. Her family owns a hospital, so she probably would have been nice to him. He didn't give her the chance, and so had Twitter been a thing, he would have been on Twitter complaining about her
Instantly.
instantly on all 12 of his burner accounts.
You would have done a TikTok, he's like, listen, I've been looks maxing for days, and the girl that I ran into totally mogged me.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then of course Con Dignifier, because we're gonna use his full name apparently. So
People are gonna be so mad. It's Digifur. I just looked at my notes. It's Con Digifur, and I keep saying Con Dignifier every single time.
oh, it is Digifer. I
Yeah,
wrote it down. I wrote it down as Digifer, but I keep saying Dignifier.
it's like
Uh,
like digital Lucifer is smashed together.
I kind of okay. I can see that. So this is called Con, just to avoid any
Yeah.
other. But we know it's Con Digifer. Um, so Khan latches onto this kid who goes home, and he's like playing on Microsoft Paint with a monster he created. And Khan is like, "Hey, you're evil. I'm evil. Let's get together." Uh, and he goes, "What's our first target?" He goes, "The hospital, the children's hospital." Freaking terrorist.
It's like, "Hey, I'm tired of them asking me for tips every time I go out to eat. Let's get the children's hospital."
The and then it surely shows like they put too much weight into what a computer could do because like
Oh no, I have
uh
this in my notes too. People
go-
they bet hard on people not knowing how computers worked for
yeah.
this show. Everything is connected in a way that like I read this thing the other day about how back in the day when we were growing up, the internet was a place you go, and
Mhm.
now the internet is everywhere. So
Yeah.
like back during this time, especially 94 is like even pre-internet, like if
Mhm.
you weren't directly there or like trying to get there, it wasn't just connected to the heartbeat monitor at the hospital.
Mhm. Yeah, and like apparently these tools are also connected to the internet because uh, at one point, like when they're attacking the hospital, like everything is happening and like tools are like flying around, and someone might say, "Well, it's electricity," but it's like, how did the internet control the electricity in the building? Like, it's like the little boy Daichi is like covered in electricity. Like surgical equipment is like flying all over because he has to get his like appendix removed or something.
Yeah.
He has appendicitis, which is very convenient. That they attack the hospital he's at, and everything is like flying around, and this forces the trio to like, we have to do something. Which, come on
Yep.
now,
Yep.
realistically, what were they going to do?
Hold on.
Well, there isn't.
Before this, I
Okay.
have in my notes flying PNG tools
Yes,
because they look like somebody's just dragging a PNG around on Microsoft Paint.
which might have been what was happening. Those were
Yeah.
computer graphics back in the day. And they run back to their basement where Junk is, and they're like, let's use our computer to fix their computer, essentially.
This is my
And
favorite part.
and they're just like trying to hack into the system, and that and and suddenly like Gridman shows up. He goes, "Yo," and
Get in here with me, little boy.
yeah, and then he puts on his Time Ranger like spandex suit, and
Yeah.
he goes into the computer. A PNG of him goes into the computer, and the kids are like trying to keep him in. Like, even though they at this point they were already told, "Hey, we're gonna save the world. He needs to come in here," but the kids were trying to stop him. They were like hanging onto his feet, and then like, but they eventually like, the force is too strong and let him go. And he like links up and he merges with Gridman, and he goes, "Say the command. It's Gridman," and they type in Gridman. Mind you, if your username is Gridman, don't have your password also be Gridman.
Too easy to hack,
Too
which
easy to
apparently
hack.
these kids are really good at, by the way.
Yeah, they can really hack.
Yeah.
And and he goes in and he starts fighting this monster. Which, this is my favorite part, is the fights, because Subaraya, they've done Ultraman. They know how to put together a monster fight.
Yeah.
It was so well choreographed. The set was they're beautiful. They make this like circuit board city type thing, a circuit city, rest in peace. And they're just crashing into these buildings. What they assume the internet looks like.
Dude, I love
Uh,
this so much that it's not the, you know, plain buildings we see. Because obviously, like you said, Subaraya has Ultraman. We've
yeah,
seen that same setup for, what is this, the 90s, for 30 years at that point.
yeah,
40 years at that point. We had seen this same setup of Ultraman coming in, the big buildings and everything. So how genius to do what you know in doing that same idea, but just recoding all that shit with a new coat of paint to look like what you think the internet would be at the time, you know?
yeah. That I love that. But this also leads to my least favorite part
Mhm.
of Gridman, at least the first episode. And there was no dialogue at all coming from Gridman. Like,
Yep.
so the monster would like roar and stuff, but like Gridman wouldn't grunt. He wouldn't like do anything, like no karate like sounds, like no banter, nothing. He was silent the entire time. And someone might say, "Oh, it's because he can't talk or whatever. Like, they have to type to talk to him." But it's like, no, he was talking. He's capable of making sound, and he wasn't making any sound,
Yeah,
and
he
that
does it
made
in the second episode.
he
He
does in
talks
the
during
second
the fight.
episode for sure. Like, he at least does grunts, but at least in the first episode he wasn't, and that bothered me so much because I was just like, dude, like not even a grunt, not even yeah, like not even that. And I wasn't expecting like Marvel level like witty banter, but I
Mhm.
was expecting something, and there was nothing. It was just basic like crashing sounds and like blaster sounds and things, but
Yeah.
nothing like coming from Gridman directly,
Yeah,
and that
Tokusatsu
bothered
is
me.
so well put together that when something so essential like that is missing, you notice it instantly.
Yeah,
Like, you don't
yeah,
notice it as much when it's there. It's just
mhm,
kind of part of the whole entree, you know? And then it's missing. You're like, this needs some salt. They need something there.
yeah, and yeah. When you notice it, and I definitely noticed it. I was very like, had it had just that little extra like sound. And what they could have done is, for this re-release, they could have gone back and stolen grunt sounds from like other episodes in the future, because they had them,
Yeah.
and just added them, and most people probably wouldn't have noticed. But because they were missing, I definitely noticed, and that 100% sure, it bothered me. I could not.
Yeah, I feel that. There's a Subaraya staple in this episode
Mhm.
which I think is cool idea on paper. In execution every single time, not that it doesn't make sense, but it's like it gets a groan from me. And
Mhm.
it's the Subaraya patented color timer for their heroes,
Oh
where
yeah.
something starts flashing and all of a sudden you got 3 minutes or you're out of energy, you don't have that much time, but then you always get like a full on 3 minute fight, and with the most energy they power up, they use all their energy, and it's just like, okay, I get what this is. I get that you're trying to use it as a story tool, but then you don't end up using it as the tool that it's used for. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
restriction that you put on your hero, you don't actually play with in a fun way.
No. They did that, and I do like that they kind of made it as like, oh, our computer's crashing.
Mm,
You have to hurry up before the computer crashes. So I do like how it was integrated, but I do think like they could have probably done without it just in general.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially
But
to differentiate it a little more from Ultraman.
yeah, and for sure, like even for the longest time, like I was telling people, like, well, this is Ultraman's cousin, like
Yeah,
which he still is, but he's a little too much.
this is the
Um,
Gavan Infinity to Super Sentai. You know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't get people started on that because they're gonna get mad on Twitter.
Yeah, already in
Um,
the comments.
yeah, but no, it overall, like the actual fight itself though was fun. This visually beautiful.
Dude, the flip
Uh,
is so sick. When he flips the monster by its tail,
yeah,
smashes him in, and the sparks fly. I was like, hell yeah, Gridman.
the the monster's name is Galaris.
Galaris. I have the
Yeah,
second
he's
Hunter
like
Man.
an
I didn't
ice
realize I had the
monster.
first one.
Yeah, his Galaris. He's like an ice monster, like a crystal monster.
Hmm.
And yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. But then the Galaris is eventually defeated. The computer does end up crashing, but Gridman is able to like leave, and so he's not deleted because they say that if the computer crashes, Gridman is gone forever.
Hmm.
So he's able to kind of leave out of there. There was another kind of Gridman esque thing there, which is when he goes from small to big, and he does that growing animation is 100% Ultraman.
Oh yeah.
Um, and the girl Yuka, she's the one that did the command on the computer for him to grow. She does that in the first episode, doesn't do it in the second episode, but he still
Yes.
manages to grow.
Nope. When it's funny in the second episode when he grows, it's so jarring because he goes from like the tube internet thing to the
Yeah.
space that they fight in, and he instantly breaks through the firewall and instantly grows. And I was like, I forgot he can do that. Like
Mhm.
he looks so small compared to everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, he was tiny, and I'm glad that he does it immediately now because like when he was shrunken down, you can tell that like they just kind of green screened him because you could tell.
Yeah.
It wasn't great green screening. They did their best. I don't want to hear in the comments. I understand. Doesn't mean it look good.
Yeah.
And so like when he was little, like you could kind of tell. And then he grew, and I was like, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. So that's when it started looking good. But yeah, that was pretty much the first episode. And then, do you want to talk about start the second episode, or should I?
Yeah, real quick on the first episode, just the
Oh yeah,
last few points. I love the ending song too. I've never heard it
yes.
before. It's my first time listening to it. I love the happy-go-lucky ness of it, but I also think it's just a good song. And then on the next time on Gridman or whatever, they go Gambare Naito or Naoto Gambare Junk. And I that just made me smile from ear to ear because Gambare is something that like these little kids yell out when they go to stage shows and stuff. And me
Mhm.
and Jimmy did it at a Ultraman Kamen Rider stage show we went to
Yep.
down here in Anaheim. And so when they're like Gambare Naito, I was like, that's so because these are shows in the 90s. You're essentially teaching these kids how to interact with these shows, the call and
Mhm.
response. Like you want these kids to yell this out during the show. And I think it's really cool and fun to do that at the end of the show, especially because right before that, the narrator says that these events are going to happen near you.
Oh, that's right.
And I
That's
thought that
right.
was really cool. Like, oh, they're going to protect the world from all these events happening near you. And I was like, oh, bringing the audience directly in. I like that.
That now makes me mad that like I wasn't in Japan in the 90s
Yeah,
because
right.
I would have loved to go to one of those shows specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really really cool. And again, let's go back to they called the computer junk.
Mhm.
I absolutely love that. So that was episode one. Now, in that episode was titled "The Birth of a New Hero."
As many
Episode
episodes ones are.
Yes, you know it tells you exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is called "The Secrets of the Acceptor," which is the changing device
Hmm.
that he uses. So in this particular episode, oh, mind you, we forgot to mention this. The little boy who went to surgery, they did the surgery. It was successful. He got his appendix removed. So in episode 2, he's still in the hospital, but he's recovering now.
Wait. You're missing the most important part.
Which is,
Daichi's got a gun at the beginning of this episode.
does he?
The little boy points a gun at them and shoots and goes bang, and they're like, "Put that down! Stop playing around!" And he's just this little kid in a hospital bed with a legit full-on gun, and I was like, "That's great! That shit was huge in his
I,
hand."
I remember this now. And this is before they did the orange tip. Before
Yeah,
that became a law, so it looked like a real gun.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. I think I purposely forgot about it because it's dramatic. Little boy
They
was
just
pointing a
opens with
gun.
a shot of him pointing a gun at them on screen, like pointing a gun at the screen, and I was like, "Oh damn, we're just starting off hot now." Daichi's better, great.
Yeah, but no, he's good. They almost like tell him like, oh, a monster attacked and we saved it, and he goes, monster. They're like, oh, maybe now's not the time to
Yeah,
tell
they're
him
like, "Hey,
about it.
shut your mouth."
Yeah, so they kind of like, oh, we'll tell you when you're better, and that's the last we see of him for the most episode until the very end. And it cuts over back to the between the computer, and between Junk and Gridman. They're like trying to figure out what's happening. Apparently, Yuka is this like genius level computer coder because she's taking like college courses.
She's in college, and this happens later when she talks about being in college. And
Yeah,
what's the other kid's name? Ipe. Ipe is
eBay.
playing the game, and I really like that they all use junk for different things. Like they
Yeah,
just realized that this thing that they built has the capacity to save the world, but also has the capacity to crash and erase this other being. And they're just like, we're gonna play games on it. We're gonna do college
yeah,
courses on it. Like
yeah.
we needed a computer. This stuff is just bonus.
Yeah, I think it's they because that's what they wanted the computer for originally. Because they
Yeah.
built a computer so she can do her college courses, so he can, play his games. And Naoto was just kind of there. He's there to be the hero.
Yep.
But it's like, which makes sense. Like if I was a kid in the '90s and my friends and I pieced together a working computer, yeah, I'd use it for games too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let
Um,
this fucking hyperdimensional bean take over my shit that I just built. Like this shit was expensive. I had to dumpster dive for places.
yeah,
They're upgrading the RAM in this scene because they
they
didn't have
did.
enough RAM.
Yeah, and that's how they were able to like play the games, and conveniently, Takashi is off with Khan, and they're like, "What are we gonna do this today?" Well, you're gonna use Microsoft Paint
Yeah.
to create a new monster. And what's the monster's name?
This
Hawk?
one is Bamara.
Bamra, the elastic monster,
Bamara.
and he's going to conveniently attack the university, which is where Yuka is trying to take her courses.
Yep.
It's convenient. It wasn't like they were like Takashi's like, oh, I know this girl that rejected me. She takes college courses, so I'm gonna take that college down. No, it was just, hey, you're gonna attack this college. There's a bunch of smart people there.
Yep. And that's
And
another thing I was talking about earlier about like none of these things feel connected.
uh,
The Daichi being in the hospital and them going to their computer to save him do not feel connected. The we're gonna attack the college, we're gonna attack this hospital. None of it's connected. It just all is service to lead to the big monster fight at the end.
Yeah, and everything that happens is convenient. Like,
Yeah.
Takashi and Khan had no idea that Daichi is Naoto's little brother, and
Mhm.
he's in the hospital. So they're gonna, no, it was just we're gonna attack the hospital. Or maybe they did say it's her family owned it, so we're gonna attack it.
Yeah.
But like even then, it felt more like a coincidence that that all this happened, and for sure the college thing was a coincidence because they didn't say we're going to attack it because Yuka rejected me and she has courses there.
Nope.
No, they just decided we're going to attack a college for some reason today, and not just any college. They could have attacked, like Harvard University. They could have, some like big big time university. No, they said the local college,
It's ex Sakura College, yeah. Real
Sakura
quick,
College specifically. Yep.
real quick, I got the Primal Acceptor or the Acceptor right here, not the Primal
Yeah.
Acceptor. Sorry, Jimmy gave me this a few months ago, and they are explaining the Acceptor in this show at this point,
Hmm.
and I am quite embarrassed to say I did not realize this had a button on the top until they mentioned it on the show. I've had this thing for months, and they said it on the show. They're like, press the button to communicate with me, and I pressed it. I was like, holy shit, there's a button there.
Yeah, there is. It's funny because leading up to like me giving this to Hawk, months ago, like no, even like months and maybe even years before this, I was like, oh yeah, like I have several because I love Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. So I was like, oh, I have like three. Do you want one? Hawk's like, yeah. How much you want for it? I was like, no, it's for you. Like, do you want it? He goes, yeah, okay. So I was, yeah, I was like, I'll find it and I'll give it to you because it was in storage. And we were just went off, and Hawk never brought it back up. Occasionally we
Never
talk
thought
about
about it
Gridman.
again, honestly.
Occasionally we talk about Gridman, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to give you that thing. Remind me next time I'm gonna see you. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Just never remind me. Part of it might be just Hawk forgot. Other part is like,
Ooh.
well, it's an expensive toy. I'm not gonna like keep bugging you for it. Like if you want to give it to me, give it to me. And then eventually, like I brought it, and he goes, "Oh, you were serious?" Because I brought it and I handed it to you. Oh, here you go. Oh, cool. So you take it out, you're like messing with it, and then once you kind of like you're done looking at it, you go to hand it back to me, and I'm like, no, it's for you. You're like, oh, you were serious. I
Yeah.
was
In
like,
my
yeah,
defense, it was like a year and a half later from the first time you said it.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, this is just him that he brought to show me, and that's cool. Because people have done that before. People will come and be like, oh, look at this Tokusatsu toy that I got. I'll be at like random places with a friend, and they'll be like, oh, look at this random Tokusatsu toy I got. This was cool. That's what I thought was happening. And then he gave it to me, and I was like, oh, sick. Now I have an acceptor. And like I said, I thought it was just the blue button that brings the wings out for his transformation. But no, there's and may I just say, this top button does not do the sound that's in the show. It's a
no,
completely different show. Because I hit it
no,
and I was like, please shut that shit off. And it's like a 10-second sound that's just screeching.
yeah. Well, to be fair, the one I gave you is the American version.
Oh, that
So
explains it.
maybe the Japanese version makes slightly different noises, but I don't think it would. Um, but I do have the good smile acceptor behind me. I haven't taken it out of the box, but I wanted to show that I had it.
Yeah.
um,
Your full
but
setup to show what we're reviewing today. Now you have to get toys behind you for every time we review a different show.
well, I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna specifically review stuff that I have. It's
It's
like,
all the
huh?
stuff this Jimmy's seen.
It's like, why are we reviewing Blue Beetle today? Because I have a lot of Blue Beetle stuff, right?
Yeah. Why do you think? Duh.
Only reason is to show off stuff in my collection that
Yeah.
otherwise people don't get to see because it's in my room and I don't have people over often.
Yep. The big part of this episode, I would say probably the brunt of this episode, is Gridman discovers what a firewall is. And
Yeah,
I
you
was
think
not
he'd know?
expecting this.
You'd think he'd know that he knew what a firewall is.
You would think the
Uh,
kids know. The incredible hackers that they are, they were just like a barrier, a computer barrier. Huh.
hmm.
And it's like, yeah, a firewall, guys. Duh.
I kind of wish they would have made because it was just like a reddish, like pinkish,
Yeah.
kind of like wall, like a like a glass wall looked like. I kind of wish they would have made it like actual fire.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a quite literal firewall, and this hacking software that they put together was like little fire extinguishers. That would have been kind of cool.
But it
But
was
yeah,
little lightning bolts instead.
they were lightning bolts, and it was just striking this like pink wall thing.
The
And
craziest part about all this to me is she comes to Yuka goes, oh, usually you need an ID and password. But instead of being like, I go to this college and I have an ID and password, she goes, let's hack this shit.
I had the exact same thought. I was like,
It's
oh,
so
she's gonna
insane.
use her credentials
Yeah.
to access it, and no, she decided let's hack it. And who knows, maybe like she didn't have maybe the administrative password and stuff, and maybe that's what she needed. But I'm just like I expected for there to be an attempt because I do know that like right before any of this happened, she was trying to log in
Mhm.
and she just wasn't able to get through. so maybe that's why she didn't even try to get in. But even then, I'm just like, we could have made an attempt. Like, let me try this again.
Yeah.
And
All right, let's try something else.
yeah. So instead, she's like, "Let me just create this little software with the help of my friend over here, and we're going to see if that works." And it eventually worked. It worked at the 11th hour. Like what I do like is that there was a satellite thing. It kind of just it tilted over. Practical effect. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then it shot this beam. Not a practical effect. And it did like a Photoshop like filter of like a hole coming through, and like you see like the building on the other side getting warped, and you can see the monster. So like he was about to go into the real world, and I was like, oh, is that's not going to happen in the second
Yeah, I
episode,
was
is it?
not expecting this. I didn't realize that this was a big deal in Gridman that they get transferred to the real world.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've seen this before, and the fact that I forgot, I was like, oh shoot, okay. So it might as well have been my first time watching it, and I know he wasn't going to get through, but I was just like, oh, I kind of forgot that this was a big thing as well. And eventually, they get through, they break the firewall, and he goes in. He kind of grows immediately. By the way, there
Yes.
was no prompt. He goes and he like pulls him back in, and the fight was, I think, really cool because it was part of it was not just like beating him up, but part of it was like to keep him away from that portal to go into the real world.
Yep.
So it added a little bit more stakes, and they added the grunting and stuff. So it wasn't just a silent battle anymore.
And this
So
brings us to my money shot of the episode. If this is your first Tokusatsu World Tour, we pick out one shot that we loved of this episode and say this is the money shot of this episode of Tokusatsu World Tour. Mine for this is the building's boner, because the building, while warping, gets this weird boner and then bursts through water. Water comes out as the digital world bursts through the side of the building.
it was quite literally a money shot.
It's so, and this is like it's called the money shot, and we usually pick this big hero shot. This is legitimately this building coming. Like, it was the most insane thing. As I'm watching, I was like, that doesn't look right?
No. The thing is, this entire time, like I've been trying to think of like what would be mine.
Mhm.
I think that's mine now.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything better than that. Because
was-
that's literally it's money shots. It's slang for that specific thing that happened, and yeah, I can't think of anything better.
As soon as like the building's like warping and everything, and I was like, okay, maybe this is just my childish mind going to this. But then it bursts open and the water shoots out, and I was like, where the fuck did that come from? What is happening right now?
Yeah, no, I'll use that as well. That would be that's my money shot as well. So, no, and maybe in editing and post you could put a clip in there, but
Yeah.
yeah. And it was obviously like they used the liquefy effect in Photoshop to make this happen.
You go from this digital world with no water at all. The other thing I wanted to point out is how fucking scary it would be in real life if you saw that happening. That like the circle portal and the monster just stepping out and kind of standing there and then getting pulled back in. I think that would be the end of my life. I think I would be like, okay, I've seen enough.
Well, apparently, Daichi saw it happening because I was skipping ahead to the end there. At the very end, like it goes back to him looking out the window of the hospital. He goes, "Oh, they defeated the giant monster." So he saw it. It wasn't just like a thing that almost happened. Like a real person in the real world saw it happening, and yeah, I would have definitely. That's when I would have became a digidestined. If you know, you know.
Yep.
But
All
back
the
to
kids
the
that
fight.
saw become little Gridmen after.
Yeah, that's the little Daichi grows up to be SSSS Doc Gridman.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the fight scene. Eventually, not too long after, the fight is over pretty quickly, almost anticlimactic. Like he just does his finishing attack, and then it's over. I'm like, oh, I expected more at the end. And then of course Gridman. We didn't talk about this in the first episode. Well, for the first episode, but he kind of like he's able to restore the city that they fought in.
Yeah, the little digital mainframe thing.
So the editor just hit like reverse, and it goes and everything goes back to the way that it was. He flies back into his little like room thing. Naoto, he goes back into his Time Force suit when he goes back to the real world, goes back into his cool little outfit, and then the episode after it cuts to Daichi, and then it's over from there.
Yeah.
Um, but
Flying
yeah,
in this show is very funny. Looks very funny. And like
yeah,
I know they could fly better. They've done flying better in previous shows to this. So I know
yeah,
the technology exists at the time. But
yeah,
every time someone flies on the green screen, whether it be the monster, I noticed it with Bomber really bad in this fight, or when Naoto and Gridman combine in the digital space, it just looks so incredibly PNGs flying around.
yeah, and maybe that might have been by design because it's supposed to be like a computer world, and they took images made on a computer.
Yeah, you
To,
want it to look very different. I will say there's when they're talking to Gridman at the beginning of this episode, back and forth, and he's explaining the exposition, they
mhm,
use this style of filming that I can only compare to like Command and Conquer games, like old Command and Conquer games. And
okay,
that I thought it was really cool and appropriate because like if you're playing computer games at the time, that's what they looked like.
yeah. Yeah, I will also point out that there was a lot of just like you shots of the real world being affected by all this stuff that's happening. So
Mhm.
like you see a random like uh, uh, one of those panel boxes that on the side of the buildings like that's being affected. You see like the wires being affected. You see like these different machines, and it's just like still like footage, and they just animate over it.
Yeah.
I do think that it has a charm to it that I really like. Even though it feels also at the same time kind of lazy because it's like okay, well, instead of shooting 10 minutes of something else, a few seconds of something else, we'll just have a still here and just animate it real fast.
Yeah, throw the
Uh,
electricity going through the power pole and everything.
yeah, so it's a lot of like just things like that. But at the same time, I do enjoy like when they were in the university, because that's we got a shot of like a computer lab at the university of students like being electrified,
Yeah.
electrocuted, um, trying to touch these computers. So I did enjoy like seeing that because I'm like, oh, that's how computers looked like in the '90s. Like I remember, I mean, even though I was in the States, I remember like that's kind of what a computer lab looked like at my school.
Yeah.
And I thought that was all really cool, just visually at least.
That's all we got for the first two episodes, though. Jimmy, you want
Yeah.
to wrap it up? Anything else? Last thoughts?
Last thoughts is I might continue watching Gridman again, and hopefully this time around remember what I watched. Um, or I might just revert back to Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad and watch that instead because it was adapted into it, where Khan is voiced by Tim Curry. And he's called Kilo Khan this time, and Nato is played by Matthew Lawrence, but he's called Sam Collins this time.
Shout out.
Shout out to them. So I might just watch that instead. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Again, you can watch this on Tubi if you decide to give it a shot yourself. It's also on Pluto TV. And if you just like to add physical media to your collection, there was a Blu-ray release that came out a few years ago, which I think should still be available. But definitely check them out. I think that visually, Gridman is one of my favorites, just because like I just love the way that he looks. I love everything about him visually. The show itself was fun too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this isn't high up on my list. I'm gonna be honest. I watched the first two episodes and I thought, oh, all the bad preconceived notions I have about 90s tokusatsu, this has got it. Like this has got the nonsensical stuff. This has got the whole like coincidence of a plot over and over again. Like you said,
Yeah,
I don't think I'd keep watching this. I'd probably just jump into Super Hammer Samurai Cyber Squad because I have a nostalgia factor there for that.
yeah,
Like at least
yeah,
watching that, I'll be like, oh, I remember this. This is something fun from my childhood. But if you want to jump into Gridman, I would say just go and watch 4S Gridman, 4S Dynazenon, and then Gridman Universe.
yeah. Definitely, it did leave that legacy of having several anime come out in within like those using those characters.
Hmm.
And I which I enjoyed as well. I enjoyed all three of those actually. So I do recommend them as well. If you even think that remotely, based off what we said, you might like Gridman the Hyper Agent, definitely give it a shot for yourself. Just because Hawk and I either like or dislike something doesn't mean that you'll feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to give it a shot. Again, they're free on Tubi. It is ad based, so you may have to watch a couple of commercials. But I mean, that's just the '90s, baby. We
Yeah,
had commercials back then.
I think I only got one per episode on mine. One like 40-second commercial spot per episode on the ones I was watching.
Yeah, I got one quick commercial, the first episode, but I watched that the other day, and then I watched episode 2 today, and I got 3 commercials. But
Oh, okay.
they were it was one like maybe 5 minutes in, and it was a quick like 15-second commercial, to a point where like because I was taking notes, and I was like, oh cool, I could write my notes down, and then like I was finishing on my notes as it started again, so I was like, oh shoot, I have to watch it, and then I got another commercial. So it might have actually glitched out on me because
Oh,
then I
okay.
got two also 15-second commercials like halfway through, which is I think where I would have gotten it originally. So it might have glitched out on me, but even then, people have their workarounds. Maybe pay for Tubi Premium
Yeah.
or whatever the case is.
That was
But no,
con Digifer entering your computer.
that was that was junk.
Yeah.
Crashing. No, but I do recommend it. And for any other shows that we talk about for Tokusatsu World Tour, again, you form your opinions. Speaking of which, as a reminder, this first episode of The Return is free on YouTube. Every episode afterwards is going to be exclusive to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/AncientGrowthRadio. On there already, you'll see the first episode of the Mystic Force rewatch. And then, of course, we will be bringing more shows back, or more shows in the near future, as we're able to record them. So that is tier 2. Sorry, there's tier 1, which is a bonus episode. Tier 2 is extra shows. And then tier 3 is just an extra way to support us, and we'll like shout you out on the podcast. So we appreciate your support.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.